Alright, so when you put these up in here, you'll notice a little notch. These notches clear the sheet metal from the factory, so they can only go up in there one way. And the box side is on the outside of the car. That helps you. We'll put them up in there. And the biggest thing you want to do is to make sure this piece of sheet metal right here that holds this on is getting sandwiched with this reinforcement plate. That's what holds it tight to the floor pan. So you want to go ahead and line these up with your upper holes as best you can. Hold it in place, and then with the Sharpie, usually a silver Sharpie works better, but mine's pretty clean. We just use a black Sharpie. Go up in here and hold it tight to the car. Mark it dead center. Mark it dead center. You can take it off and see how it's on the actual sheet metal now. The black dots are on the sheet metal. You don't want to get it off there because you won't be doing any reinforcing if you do that. So you want to go right there and then right there. Oftentimes you'll end up in a spot weld point, which is okay because you're replacing it with a bolt. And on our little black dots we made earlier, we're making a pallet hole with an 1/8 inch bit, and it looks like we're drilling through welds, so it's going to be super hard. So we'll drill nice and slow, consistent pressure. Bolts, we'll use a 25/64 bit. We just pre-drilled it with an 1/8 inch bit, so now we're upping the size. Like I said, I'm going over a weld, so it always is a good idea to pre-drill. Now we're just going to up the size and bolt the lowers in, and that will tell us where our uppers need to go to line up. Alright, so here's where the help of two people comes into play. You need someone from the inside of the car. You shove these through this hole and they go through the floorboard. You need someone to start the nuts. It can be done. It's a lot easier with two people. Alright, so we got the lower bolts for the torque box reinforcement snugged up, not super tight. We do that just so we can show where the upper holes are going to line up. And as you can see, the factory, when they stamp this panel in here, the holes aren't perfectly aligned. So that's where I say the carbide bit comes into play. Getting it up in the hole, especially this bull nose one here, does a really good job at opening up the sheet metal without using a drill bit and like breaking your wrist, that sort of thing. But definitely want to wear safety glasses on this one. Here the upper holes. You can really see here how this one just so happens it doesn't line up at all. That's just how the factory stamped it in there. And you can see all the reaming we have to do in this upper portion of the hole. Same goes here. So it's quite a bit of reaming, but should do the trick with the carbide. Alright, so yeah, we're using our long screwdriver here to indent the inside of the car to let us know where the upper bolts are going to go. We just got done reaming the holes back, so we have, you know, just to give yourself reference, you use this to test, make sure it's going to go up in here. As you can see, that one does, and it's hitting on the floor. So you need to find out where that is hitting on the floor. So what we're going to do is take our prod, hold it to the floor right here, where your bolt is going to come in contact with it. Just give it a light tap. That'll scribe the hole. Do the same thing with the front one. Alright, so you got your lowers down here, and you can just so slightly see an indentation where these uppers go. So that will be our mark. We're going to go ahead and tap those down, mark them black first, tap them down, and get our larger size drill bit. Larger size drill bit for the upper bolts is going to be a 1/2 inch. Again, we're using the high strength steel. Not really needed right here, but you definitely want to go 1/2 inch. You could even step it up to a little bit larger size. is really crucial for the lower ones. The lower ones sandwich the sheet metal. These upper ones, you don't want them to bolt super tight. As you can see here, there's an indentation. This is a hollow cavity. So I would probably say not even 40 foot-pounds of torque on those. These lower ones, you can go a little bit tighter, probably like 50 or 60 foot-pounds. But like I said, do not over-tighten the upper ones because it is a hollow cavity and it will suck down on you and look like crap. So stay away from that. Alright, so we got the inside bolted up. The upper bolts are snug, not super tight. So now the plates do not come with the lower holes. You have to drill those. So right now we're using our handy dandy long screwdriver to scribe where the lower holes are going to line up. So we'll just make a nice little scribe on our fresh paint in there. And then we will unbolt everything again, take it outside the car, drill it on the vise, and then since both of these are just sitting in place right now, we're going to go ahead and squirt the adhesive on the panel because we're doing a bonding and bolting, kind of like BMW thing, bonding and riveting, but we're doing it to a Fox basically. I believe it's better than just bolting, so we're going to glue it and bolt it, and it'll be permanent. You won't have to worry about the bolts coming loose or anything like that. It'll be super strong. So stay tuned.
Hell yeah.
Alright, so now we're stepping up to 25/64s for the lower holes. Alright, so now we're going to unbolt this side, and we already got this side unbolted, so we're going to go ahead and deburr the holes and clean up it to bare metal for something for our adhesive to grab to. This is just a coral wheel. We're just basically taking off the paint and scuffing it up so we'll get a good adhesion to our panel, to the car. Alright, so we finished prepping the inside for adhesive. Now we're going to prep the underside here. My car was fairly clean. There's a little bit of e-coat and some undercoating on it, but we're going to go ahead and use a deburr bit. Just slightly scuff the area. You don't want to take a bunch of material off, but just scuff up the area for the adhesive to stick to so it has some bare metal to adhere to. Alright, so correction on that. The upper bolts were starting to deform about 30 foot-pounds of torque. So do not torque those past 30 foot-pounds of torque or you will have some bowage going on. Next thing we're going to address, as you can see up here, you have a little dead space where these rear seat fold downs may come in contact with this if you have a hatchback. So what we're going to do is go ahead with the cutoff wheel and cut off that dead area that's really doing nothing for us. Same goes with this side. Go ahead and mark a line here. You can, if you want, go around these bulges for the rear seat belts, but you can just leave them. They're not interfering with anything, and the seat should go over that fine. So just basically cut the tops off, get rid of this dead space, and prevent the seats from malfunctioning on us.
That about concludes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's about everything. If you want to go over these panels, like I said earlier, if you just put them on bare steel, which is okay, you may want to follow up with like an undercoating or something to prevent, leaks coming in from the panel or anything like that sort of thing. But definitely, if you didn't glue it, I would recommend some undercoating of some sort. And pretty much concludes it.
Wrap it up for this video. It's gonna be a little bit longer video, but I wanted to show you all the cool stuff that Derek's got going on with his 84 SVO Mustang, along with the stuff that he sells, and of course he's done a lot of stuff for me with my car and everything, so I wanted to definitely get over here and show you all the cool stuff that's going on. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.